Hey there, and welcome to episode 41 of the Unapologetic Mompreneur podcast. In this episode, I am chatting with the awesome Heather Rose about all things mum life, biz life, and everything in between. This is such a fun conversation that was literally just like hanging out with one of my business besties over a cup of coffee. And it's definitely one that you are going to really enjoy listening to because we are diving into all things about business and being authentic on social media. Heather is sharing all about what it's like running her business whilst looking after her son with disabilities, how time blocking has been an absolute game changer for her, and she's sharing some of the behind the scenes tips and strategies with her social media business, all about how creating content that converts and how to show up authentically as yourself online so that you can attract your dream clients. Heather is a social media mentor and an organic Facebook marketing specialist. She's the driving force behind Pinkfist Social and is a passionate social media mentor dedicated to helping business owners achieve greater visibility, engagement, and sales through organic Facebook marketing strategies. With a strong focus on empowering entrepreneurs, Heather not only offers her effective solutions to boost your online presence, but also aims to provide you with the precious gift of time freedom. This is such a fun conversation, and Heather drops so many golden nuggets in there, both with the time blocking strategies and the way she manages her day, but also how to show up online authentically on Facebook and to ditch the worry about the algorithm and how to actually just attract your dream clients by content that truly does convert. So pop those earbuds in, come and join us and hang out like you're chatting with your two business besties, and let's dive into this episode. Welcome to the Unapologetic Mompreneur, the podcast for mums with an online business who are ready to take back their time, home, business, and self so they can restore the balance and thrive, both at home and at work, without feeling like they have to choose between the two. I'm your host, Sarah Dew, life and biz coach for mompreneurs. I'm also a mum, stepmom, wife, introvert, breast cancer survivor, and your mentor for making a change for the better. I've learned how to go from surviving to thriving and unapologetically create a business I love and the life I want for me and my family without worrying about what other people think. And now I'm here to help you do the same. Because being an unapologetic mompreneur doesn't mean that we're selfish or that we don't care about others. It simply means that we are not afraid to show up as our true, authentic selves, to step into our purpose, do what we know is right for ourselves and the ones we love, and take the steps we need to take to make our dream life and business a reality. Join me each week where I'll be sharing all of my best tips and strategies, plus the occasional dose of tough but gentle love to help you feel empowered, motivated, and confident to take action so that you can become the mum, wife, biz owner, and woman you know you are meant and deserve to be. So, are you ready to unapologetically create a business and life you love? Let's do this. Okay, hey Heather, welcome to the Unapologetic Mompreneur podcast. I'm super excited and love that you are here and everything that we're going to be diving into today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Awesome. And I know you and I connected recently in a networking group that we are in, and I love everything that you do and the fact that you're a mum with a business too, doing it, and just like all of us juggling all the things. So really looking forward to diving into what we're going to talk about. But before, just in case anybody hasn't met you, doesn't know who you are, do you want to just share a little bit about you, what you do, your journey, how you got into your business, why you started, and all of that jazz?
Yeah, not a problem. So, hi everyone. My name's Heather Rose, and my business is Pinkfist Social. So, I'm a social media mentor, but help businesses, small businesses to medium businesses with visibility, engagement, and yeah, just helping them get seen on social media. But my specialty really is Facebook organic marketing. I love everything about Facebook, and yeah, I just love everything about visibility. So that is my business now, but I've been an entrepreneur probably now for about 20 years. I first started my first ever business as a wedding planner. That was my first ever business. And with my previous husband, my first marriage, we had like a canvas business where I don't think it's a thing now, is it? Where you put photographs on canvases. It was an all a rage then. I don't think it's much of a thing now, but that's what we used to do. So why did I get into business? So originally, there's a few reasons really. When I first started to be an entrepreneur, it was because I knew I needed to work for myself. I knew from past trauma and things that I've been through in life that working for somebody else just wouldn't be a right fit for me. It would set off triggers and trauma being answerable to somebody else and being told what to do. And that would set a lot of triggers off for me from things. So I knew deep down that I needed to be my own a business owner and be an entrepreneur. So that's where it really started. And then obviously when Isaac came along, it was about juggling that life, mum, business, work, that we all it's a bit of a struggle, isn't it? And then obviously when he was diagnosed with special needs, with, well, I don't call it special needs really, it's his superpower. I always say he's got his own superpower. So ADHD and autism, and I was being called from work every day to go and collect him because he was struggling being in the school. It was just a horrific time, and I just remember sobbing in the car saying, something's got to change. I can't be traveling to work and not being there for my son. I was like going to lose my job because I was taking so much time out of work. So I knew I needed to take my part-time business that I had at the time and make it a full-time thing and make it work. So yeah, a couple of reasons why I started, but those are the main reasons.
Amazing. I think that is so many reasons. That's just why so many of us mums decide that it's right to have an online business or have a business generally, is that we can do it so that it fits around family, and family as mums is always our top priority. And to have something that works around that, where we're not at the beck and call of other people and the 9 to 5 thing and worrying about when to take time off work, being able to be present for all of their things and all of that, it just gives us that freedom and flexibility. So I love that that's the journey that you went down as well. And it's interesting that you said that you had a wedding business and wedding planner, because that's how I started out when I first had my own business. Back in the day before I had my boys, I'm actually a certified wedding planner, although that's a long time ago now, and had my own event management business as well. So yeah, but I had to give that one up because I just found it so unsocial hours and evenings and weekends, and I just wasn't getting time with boys. So it's interesting how when we do first start out and then we pivot and change and do things to just adapt and fit around families. So I love that that is what you do. And I know we're going to dig in a moment into what it's like juggling with a child with special needs and how to do all of that, and also just what you're doing now. And that's one of the reasons why I just love what you do so much, and what wanted to connect with you and have you on here, of talking about like the social media thing and making it so much easier and putting ourselves out there, getting visible, which is something that held me back for so long because I was terrified of being seen in my business, and it really held me back. And then chasing all of that algorithm and everything else. So we've got lots that we're going to be diving into, and I can't wait to get into all of the nitty-gritty of it. But let's talk about managing a business with a child when you've got special needs and how you do that. Because I know even if it's just kids at school and all of the normal mum juggling stuff and work-life balance and trying to get everything done in our business and not feel that pull of guilty every time we turn on our laptops and finding the time to thrive. But when you've got a child that has additional needs and special needs, and I absolutely love that you call it his superpowers, that is just amazing. It's such a fantastic way to look at it and see the positive sides of it and everything. So let's talk about that. Let's dive in, and just, if you're happy to share with what it's like working from home and how you manage it and how you sort of, work between the two and still spend quality time with him, but still thrive in your business.
Yeah, so obviously it's 16 now, so he doesn't need me as much as he used to, but it's still a juggling act. You still need to be there for him for different things. But as he's been growing up and through, my entrepreneurship probably for the last 10 years, I think it's just being kind to yourself and not giving yourself too much pressure and to-do lists that are not that are so unrealistic, and they give you like anxiety even looking at your to-do lists. And I think that's where I started, was my to-do list just sent me like in massive panic attacks and anxiety, thinking I've got all this to do that I want to do for my business, and but then I've got to look after Isaac and do this because we're homeschooled for a section of that time as well. We did 3 years of homeschooling in that time. So to juggle everything, it was just like, oh, how do we do this? But I think for me, is changing my mindset and just being kind to yourself, that your to-do lists don't need to have 20, 30 things on. Half of those things that you're stressing about and trying to get done, you don't do effectively anyway. So giving yourself just like 3 to 5 things on a list that is manageable and you can do in the chunks of time you've got in between all the other stuff is more manageable, and it doesn't get you with anxiety. You don't get stressed, you don't feel overwhelmed with all the things that you've got to do. There's nothing worse, is there, when you're juggling mum life and wife life and partner life, whatever, is looking at your to-do lists for the day and thinking, oh my goodness, just like, where do I start? That fear, that dread, that sickness that I used to get, that like, where do I even start? Take that away, take that pressure away from you. You don't need that. You can be so much more productive in your business by giving yourself a realistic to-do list and goals for the day and trying to push yourself. I think we're all, probably can agree to this. One of the things is, if I were quiet or didn't have anything to do, I felt like I wasn't doing anything in my business. I felt like from the minute I got up to the minute I got to bed, I've got to be doing something in my business to
So
feel
true.
like I was doing something. If I was sat for an hour or taking time out, I felt like, oh, what am I doing? There must be something I've got to be doing for my business. And I felt like you've always got to be doing something. You don't. My business has turned around so much by just having a set few hours where I'm so productive, and I time manage better. Time blocking, which I've mentioned to you, was a game changer for me. But having those realistic to-do lists and not overpowering your diary with loads of appointments and things that you need to do, because when you don't get it done, then you give yourself grief because I haven't got day. Oh my goodness, right, I've got to put it on tomorrow's list, which then makes tomorrow's to-do list even longer, doesn't it? And then you're
Oh,
like,
yes.
it's just a circle, isn't it? A vicious circle, and you're forever like feeling like the duck with the, swim with the legs under the water, paddling so fast, trying to keep up with everything. But realistically, if you only give yourself a couple of things to do a day that are productive and that's going to be meaningful for your business to go forward, then you're going to be more productive and you're not going to have that overwhelm.
Absolutely. That is so, so true. And those to-do lists can be so incredibly overwhelming. And then we put things on there and we find that we're ticking off, adding more than we're ticking off as well. And like you say, we're then carrying it across to the following day. And a lot of the things on there are also, I've found, is that things that we think we should be doing, but we don't actually need to do or aren't really going to move the needle forward. So I like the idea, like you say, of just having 2 or 3 things on there and that's it. And then when we tick those off, anything else we do is a bonus. And it just makes us feel like we're crushing it and we're winning, rather than, like you say, giving ourselves grief because we haven't accomplished half of the things that we've put on there. So, so true. And it's just a case of just getting really clear on priorities and just the amount of time that we have. And as mums juggling everything, we have so much less time than we think that we have, don't we? And it just takes a sick day or something that crops up, and our whole
Good
day could go.
holidays.
Exactly. Holidays and a day's and it just goes out the window, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
so yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned time blocking there, and I know that that's been an absolute game changer for you. So do you want to just share how you approach that and how you manage that?
Just before we go into that, just something on the back end of what we were just saying is, when I had a team, I did network marketing for a while as well. And when I was growing a team and we were talking about, how important personal development is, which it is for any business owner, is working on our own personal development, growth in your business, learning new things or things just to help you develop as a person. And I always suggested, doing personal development every day. And one of the common things people say, I just don't have time to sit and read a book or listen to anything. And I said, well, I used to give myself massive pressure that like every day I was going to do 1 hour of personal development every day. And I never achieved it. I could never find that hour that I could like just say, oh yeah, I've got time to like go and read some, a bit of a book or read an audible or listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video. And I said, do you know what I did? I just give myself 10 minutes, just listening to something for 10 minutes,
Hmm.
a game changer for me, from giving me that pressure of like, you've got to do an hour of personal development to doing like just 10 minutes. Because when we do that 10 minutes, unlike the to-do list scenario. If you tick off the three, you're going to potentially do more anyway.
Mhm.
Because you feel motivated that you've ticked off that you've done the 10 minutes personal development, or you've ticked the three things off your to-do list. So you feel really energized and motivated rather than demotivated, not completing something. You actually feel more motivated and you end up doing more than you would have done normally. So just wanted to mention that about personal development, as well as giving yourself realistic times to do things in, because you will get more if you give yourself those realistic time blocks. So yeah, time blocking for me was a game changer. Somebody introduced me to it probably about 3 years ago now, 3, 4 years ago. And now literally that's all I do is time block. So I have my planner, my diary, and everything goes into my diary. So I've got, obviously it's all set out in times. My diary is 9 till 6 o'clock in the evening, whichever. So it's all timed. And I put everything in there, from anything that I have to do for the house, family, walking the dog, having lunch, making sure that you have a lunch break, even down to giving myself 10 minutes for Facebook scrolling, or answering emails, or answering notifications, or just anything that I've got from appointments, calls, this, anything that I've got going on, and the things that I need to do in my business. I time block everything into my diary, because that keeps me on track. It keeps me focused. It keeps me on track with the times that I'm allowing myself to do that activity. Because I think that's important, isn't it? We can all get carried away into a task, whether that's Facebook scrolling, or whether that's answering emails, or writing content, or engaging, whatever it is. We can get lost in that, before we know it, we've given ourselves 10 minutes to do that task, and we're still there 40 minutes later doing the
So
task.
true.
At the beginning, to get myself into that mindset and into that role, I used to set an alarm on my phone. So I thought, right, I've got 10 minutes to do this task, 10 minutes Facebook scrolling. I set my alarm, and when that alarm went off, I knew it was time to move on to the next task. And I found that really, really effective. So the same with time blocking. I look at my diary. What have I got at 9 o'clock? Right, okay, I've gone do that, tick that off in my diary. Right, next one, I've got 10 o'clock, I've got a podcast with Sarah. Right, what's next after that? And it just keeps me on track. And even, like I say, down to time to reply to notifications, Facebook scrolling, walking the dog, making dinner, going to Aldi, doing the food shop. Self-care for me, 1 hour out or something, just to watch. I make sure that I give myself time out to go and like binge watch a program for an hour, or do some personal development, or whatever it may be. But yeah, that was a game changer for me, setting the alarm on the phone and time blocking in my diary, everything that you've got to do that day.
That is amazing. And it just helps you to have that focus, to know what you're working on as well, and making sure that you're covering all of the tasks. And I love what you said about even just giving back into that personal development thing of just giving yourself 10 minutes, and then setting that clock, and knowing that by doing that little bit rather than that whole hour means that we're still winning. That's such an important thing. So I wanted to mention that. And I love that you mentioned in about having a lunch break, because I know what that is like when you're working from home and you're trying to do all the things. And like you say, you think you have to be working all the time and you want to work constantly from when you start to when you finish, that it is so easy to forget to take a lunch break. And the times that I do that, or I'll very quickly just run into the kitchen, I'll grab a quick sandwich and I'm straight back in here again. And I've literally had 10 minutes and that is it. And it's just so tempting to just keep going, that I think that having that time and actually scheduling in proper lunch breaks and even a time for self-care, that's amazing that you do that too as well, because we need to recharge and rest, and it's okay to go and sit and binge watch something for an hour just to have that time to regroup. We don't, like you said earlier, we don't have to be working every single hour. And I know that sometimes it comes from that like mindset of when we were working before, or whether it was in corporate or a 9 to 5 or whatever we were doing, that we feel that that's what we should be doing at home as well. And we don't need to do that. We can design our work hours to fit around that. And I love that with your time blocking, that you're breaking down and including all of the other things like the Aldi shop and the groceries and the dog walking, and putting that in. That is so, so cool. Do you find though, because I try time blocking as well, but sometimes when I've got it in the diary and I look at it, I then think, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. And I'll go off and do something else. Do you do that? Or what do you have any tips for just like
Yeah.
staying like accountable to it?
I do try to stay accountable to it unless I'm having a bad day or health wise, because obviously I'm going through a lot of health things at the minute with perimenopause, that joyous thing that us
Oh,
women go through. And I do really struggle with chronic fatigue with that. So I am better at keeping myself accountable, especially I put a lot of things more in the morning because I know that I'm not as productive in the afternoon and
mhm.
evenings. So it's being, like I said at the start, it's being kind to yourself and knowing what you're going to be able to manage, what you might not be able to manage, and try and keep yourself accountable, but giving yourself, if it doesn't go to plan, then it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Don't give yourself grief if it doesn't go to plan and you go off and do something else. It's fine. Things happen, don't they? I think one of the things as being a mum and a mum in business is we don't have to be that superwoman all the time that we think that we need to be, that super mum, the superwoman, that we have to have our hands in all the pies and do all the things. It's okay to say no to things. And that's a big thing I've learned in my journey. I used to be yes to everything. I'm a people
Mhm.
pleaser. Yes to everything. Yes, I'll do that. When my kids, when Isaac was at school, yeah, I'll pick your kids up from school as well, and I'll take them after the school. And you try to do everything and please everybody, but you don't have to. You're allowed to say no to things and, protect your mental health and well-being and your time. Your time's precious. And, that's a big thing that I've learned is it's okay to say no to things and to outsource and ask for help. So, if you do need some time extra in your business, try and find somebody that can do the school pickup, maybe do swapsies that you do the pickup on a Monday and a Thursday and somebody else does a Tuesday and Wednesday or whatever it may be. Find ways to help and get people to help you. It's all right to ask for help.
That is so, so true. And sometimes we just beat ourselves up about asking for help and seeing it as a sign of weakness, but it's not. It is a sign of strength and it is a sign of doing things that will then make your life easier. And I'm all about doing what is going to keep things simple, make life easier, and not overloading ourselves. And I'm really glad that you mentioned about giving yourself permission to say no and that it's okay to say no. And that is so much what this podcast and everything that I do is about, being unapologetic and not being afraid to say no to the things that don't serve you or the things that are going to take you further away from your goals and the things that are going to stress you out as well. So I think it's really good that mentioning about tapping in of what is feeling right, and if you don't have to do everything. And I know that's really hard when you're a people pleaser, because I've been through that too. We want to do everything, we want to help, we want to be part of things, we worry that we're going to be missing out or that we're letting people down if we don't. But we only have so many hours in the day. There's only so much that we can do. So I love that you mentioned that of you're just giving ourselves permission to say no to things and not do it all. And sharing things like the swapsies with the pickups and things can be such a game changer because it just gives you that little bit of extra time, especially when we're working on our businesses, juggling the margins of school days. Because I don't know, but it's like the afternoons for me, once Harrison, I have had my lunch and I go back to work, I literally have like an hour and a half before I have to go and get him from school. And for me, that's my productive time. I do more in that hour and a half in the afternoons than the
Yeah.
mornings. I can waste 3 or 4 hours in the morning and think, what have I actually achieved? Yeah, then I'll go into my afternoon session and I'm just getting in my flow. And it's like, I've got to go and get him from school now.
I know.
Oh.
I know. It's all right with the doing the swapsies in your personal life, like I was saying, like if you can do swapsies like with the school pickup and things like that, or can they come back to your house for an hour after school and I'll do it on another day, and that just gives you that extra time. But also things in your business, and we always want to be in control because we're in control of our businesses, and it's hard to let go of things, isn't it? I've learned this massively the hard way, and you can't do everything. It's the cliche thing, isn't it? They're the top in the cup. You've got to keep your top cupped up because you can't keep, you can't serve everybody, your family, your business, your friends, your whatever it is, if your cup's empty. And
Mhm.
I've been at burnout and I've learned the hard way. And you've got to keep topping that cup up. So doing the swaps is in your personal life with the kids, it's also applicable to your business as well. If you haven't got the funds to outsource things, then see where you can do swapsies with other business owners. Can you do that for me? And I've got this, I can do this for you and do swapsies in the business world as well. It makes a massive difference if you can
That's such
outsource things.
That's such a great point and a really good idea, because we can think about just doing the things that make life easier in personal life, but actually there's so much we can do in our businesses as well to free up our time and streamline things, make things quicker. And especially in the early days of our businesses when we're just starting out and we have to do everything and we don't necessarily have the funds to share out. So I think that's a really great idea of being able to just swap things across. And if you've got someone, if you hate writing your social captions, I'm going to talk about social media in a minute, if you've got someone that's great at doing that, but they aren't keen on doing something else that you do, well, then you can swap back and forth and it just makes it so much easier. And I think sometimes when we think about outsourcing in our businesses, that we instantly think of having a massive team or a VA or something like that. But there's so many things that we can outsource that make life easier. And, for me, it's just things like using templates and swipe files and having stock photography because my photographs are terrible. And, all that sort of stuff just makes life so much easier. So this is really leading brilliantly into what you do and, the services you offer and everything that you do for social media. So let's talk about that of looking at, I know you've got some really great tips for sharing social media content that converts and, playing that visibility game and how we can show up and get ourselves more visible, but without spending hours on it and chasing that algorithm, trying to get seen and actually having the content that it doesn't just get the likes and everything, but actually converts and things. So, John, let's dive in and talk about your business and what you do and how you help people do all of that.
Yeah. When I launched Pink Fizz, I'm in my second year now. Will be 3 years in October. And the reason I launched Pink Fizz was from my previous role, I was director of events for an international networking company, and seeing all the business owners there all struggling with social media, having time to do it, understanding how to do it, understanding how to write content that converts. And people just really struggling getting that visibility was heartbreaking. I just like, I've got so much knowledge that I can share and make a difference with all these business owners, because there's a lot of, don't get me wrong, there's lots of amazing coaches out there and social media gurus and things like that. But when I was trying to learn in my journey, I felt that a lot of it was overcomplicated. I didn't understand the language, the terminology people used. No one seemed to give you step-by-step instructions on how to implement it into your own business. And I thought that just there's a gap in the market there for just somebody to be the girl next door, just talking in simple English, no fancy words and jargon, and giving people simple, actionable steps that they can action into the business. That's going to make a massive difference. And let's face it, we've all been shoved on social media. We get it free of charge, which is amazing. But no one teaches you really how to use it and the benefit for it for business. And if people don't know, how can you expect them to know any different if they're not taught it? So this is where I come in. I offer lots of different services. Obviously, I do one-to-ones, power hours, I do mentoring, I have pre-recorded courses and workshops. I do Facebook audits where I can come and audit your group, your business page, and give you some tangible steps to improve that engagement and visibility in your content. I do in-person events, so I do like VIP days. I have a big event happening in Lancashire. My first one was October last year. It's going to be again this year, which is a big social media conference. I have social media planners. I have a Facebook visibility book out. I have a low-cost membership where you're saying about templates. So one of the things that I knew is that time creating graphics, creating content. So I've got a one-stop shop. It's called the Academy, where there's thousands of templates that you can just edit. There's graphics that you can just use. You can edit if you want or just take them as they are. There's 3 years of content ideas in there. There's access to all my courses. We do networking events as well, meetings, accountability sessions. So you get everything sort of in one place. You get that help and support for your social media, but you get the networking opportunities and the accountability sessions as well. So so I've got lots of things on the go, which is exciting. And yeah, we can talk about a bit of, share a couple of tips. Is that all right?
Absolutely, go for it. I love everything that you're doing. It's amazing. And it's just there's so much there, but I just think it's incredible. And I know I'm really excited for your next live event too, which is awesome. And I'm a member of your Facebook group, which is fantastic. So we have to make sure that we've got the link for that and your academy in the show notes too. But yeah, let's dive into content that converts. How on earth do we even get started in actually trying to just actually get some reactions and get things converting? Because that can be so hard sometimes that we can pour hours into, and I certainly used to do that, of spending hours of writing captions and thinking I've got the perfect post, and then it's just absolute crickets and nothing happens, and it's so demoralizing and can just make us want to give up, or even just coming up and thinking about what even to post in the first place. So yeah, give us all your tips. Give us your tips.
Yeah. So first of all, the word algorithm. I don't like the word algorithm. I just say, obviously, people come to me and say, oh, the algorithm's changed again. And it's like banging my head against a brick wall. I'm not being seen. My content's not being seen. I just say, forget the algorithm. You can never, ever beat the algorithm. No matter how many times you can try, you'll never beat the algorithm. The best thing that you can do is be your own algorithm. So that is one of my sayings, and all my planners and things and all my content is be your own algorithm.
I love that.
Create your own algorithm. Why not? Because you can't beat the Facebook's algorithm or social media's, whichever platform you're on, that algorithm. So just be and turn up and be authentic, be yourself, show up, because that's what people want, to be relatable to real human people and have that real connection. So, sharing up as you and being authentic is the biggest tip that I can give anybody. But how to create engaging content. So keeping it short and sweet is what is number one, really. There is places for long form content, don't get me wrong. Obviously, storytelling is really important, but a lot of people don't have time to sit and read long posts. It's crazy busy social media. When you're scrolling, you probably literally have, a 5 minute slot to do a bit of catching up and a bit of scrolling. And people don't have the attention spans. They want short form content. This is why short form content is so popular now with your reels and your stories and things like that, because people want to consume short form content. So if you're putting a post out there that's like 3-4 paragraphs long, the potential of you losing a lot of people reading that is quite high. The people that might follow you regular, that know what content that you give, and they have to read that content because they know it's going to be good, you'll get them people reading it. But normally speaking, you won't get a lot of people tuning in because they don't have the time to sit there and read it. So the statistics are between 100 and 250 characters actually gets more interaction. So if you keep your posts short and sweet and in between those characters, you'll obviously see a difference in the interactions that you give. The second tip I'll probably give is photographs with faces, sharing selfies, real life pictures of people, always get more interactions. And it is proven that anything with a face on gets 37% more interactions.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
yeah.
Wow.
What else can I share? All posts need to have a hook line and call to action. This is where a lot of people go wrong when they're writing their content and they're saying that they're not getting any interactions. You've got 0.6 of a second to stop somebody scrolling. So the first things they see on a post is either the graphic or the first few words that you use as your headline. So we call it the hook line. So it's literally like putting your fishing rod out there and hooking people in to read your content. So that really matters. So think about those first words that you use. Try and make it catchy. Maybe add some humor in there, or it might be something relatable to your ideal client. That they think, oh yeah, that's me. She's talking to me. I need to read this. Or it could be something, let me share a secret, 5 ways to improve X, Y, and Z. So you're putting something out there that's a little bit of a hook for people to read. That's so important. And then obviously the image, the graphic that you use is really important as well. And then every post needs to have a call to action, because if you don't tell your audience what you want them to do, how do you expect them to comment? A lot of people will just read the content and then just scroll on because they don't feel the need that they have to interact. Us as business owners know that, oh yeah, we need to leave a comment on that. That's going to help them get more reach. But generally speaking, if you're not working business to business, people won't know to interact on your unless you tell them. So it's super important that you do that. So things like if you are sharing top tips, let me know in the comments which tip resonated with you the most. Did you find this helpful? Let me know below. Drop me a heart below if you found this helpful. Just asking them questions and giving that call to action, because if you don't tell them that you want them to comment, then they're not going to do that. So that will help massively, those two things, with interaction and getting that visibility. So those are a few tips to get going with. I could talk for hours, but I'll stop before I get
That's awesome. And that would be your own algorithm. That is just so freeing. I need that on a t-shirt or a poster on my wall or something like that, because sometimes we can just think, what is the point? This isn't going to get seen and blah. But actually, if we are just showing up and being ourselves, then that is what is going to draw people in, and people will be looking for those. And you're so right about using images and graphics that are or yourself and people, because I really noticed a difference recently. And that was something that I did for years and years, that I was hiding behind pretty things I'd created on Canva and quotes, and then doing a post around the quote rather than actually showing my face, because I was too scared to put myself on there, and I didn't like pictures of myself and everything else. But just recently, like the last 6 months or so, I have been really pushing myself to actually show photos of myself. And without shadow of a doubt, they are the ones that do get more comments and more likes and people interact. And it's really surprised me, because I just think, well, who wants to see my mug on the screen? They don't want to see that. They want to see a pretty graphic that they can save or something. But actually, they are the ones, because people want to see you. They want to see the face behind the business. And like you said, like some of the behind the scenes stuff and the things that are going on in real life, they want to see that too, because that shows that they can connect and figure out whether you are the person for them. So that has definitely been a game-changing one for me. So now I need to get myself out there and get more photos done, definitely, and take more pictures, because I'm always the one, like as mums, we're always the one behind the camera, aren't we? We're never in the camera. So I do need to definitely do that. But that's really interesting what you said about the captions, because I've seen lots of talk lately as well about having longer form posts as well. But actually, we only have so long to sit and read things, that I'm definitely going to go and try that now. Like the 100 to 250 character limits. I'm going to go and give that one a go without a doubt.
I
And
know, as a
just
consumer, when I'm seeing content, if it's paragraphs and I've literally got minutes to like consume a little bit of content, I will scroll past, because unless it's somebody that I really know and I need to read, I know that I need to read it, but I would normally just scroll past because I just don't have the time to
yeah.
read paragraphs. The same of making it look interesting as well. So using emojis in your content as well, rather than just paragraphs of text, breaking it up and putting some emojis in there to make it more attractive for people to read as well, is a tip.
That definitely makes it easier to read as well, doesn't it? Because otherwise, so you're right, you do get put off if you see tons and tons of paragraphs. Your instant reaction is, I haven't got time to read this. If you want to sit and read this, like go and buy a magazine. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's really, really cool. And definitely having that call to action, that does make all of the difference. And I've always thought like call to actions is just like go and sign up for my, here's the link, go and sign up or something. But it can just be as simple as give me a heart if this resonates. And it's just then telling Facebook that, or whichever platform you're on, that actually somebody likes this, which is great. So awesome. So many are great tips. And I think we could definitely talk about this for hours, but it's fantastic. Before we wrap up, I know you've got an amazing freebie that we're going to share and put in the notes, which I've already gone through myself, and it is epic. And I did definitely sit there with a pen and paper taking notes, and saves you so much time. So we can talk about that as well. Just on closing, I've got a question I always like to ask everybody who comes onto the podcast as well. But before I dive into that one, have you got any like a closing message or final thoughts, or just one piece of advice that would help the mompreneurs listening?
Just be you. That's all I can say, is just be you, because people want to see real life. They don't want people to, I think people think you have to show up and like show the perfect life. You don't have to show, people want to see things that they can relate to. So just be you. People want to see authenticity. They want to see real life. They don't want to see people hiding behind logos and, like you said before, graphics. They want to see real people. So don't be scared to show up and just be you and be authentic.
Amazing. I love that. So what I love to ask everybody that comes onto the show is, what does being an unapologetic mompreneur mean to you? And how do you show up every day unapologetically, both as a mum and as the boss of your business?
Unapologetic. Oh, yes. Just what I said, really. Being unapologetic, just showing up as real, authentic you. No, like, don't have to pretend to be somebody. You don't have to see what Brenda's doing down the road and think that you've got to compete. You just keep in your own lane. Being unapologetic of me is just being Heather Rose on social media, not pretending to be anybody else, not making my business the same as what I think other people are doing out there. I just rock up and be me. I share the good, the bad, the ugly. I always have on social media because I think it's really important to share that side of us as well. I'm not, not everybody wants to share everything. I get that, but just showing snippets of your life, hurdles that you've had to overcome when you're having a bad day. Don't be scared to show it because people need to see that. The amount of times I get messages saying, Heather, thank you so much for sharing that. That was so relatable. I feel like that at the moment. I've had people saying I've not quit my business because I look at all your motivational things. There's just so much. So don't be scared to show you and real life. Show what's going on behind those scenes.
Incredible. That is awesome. So let's share about all of you about your freebie, what it is. We'll make sure the link to it is in the show notes. But if people want to connect, find out more, find out about the academy and everything that you do, where can they find you? And yeah, tell us about your freebie.
Yeah, so they can find me obviously Pink Fizz Social across all the social platforms. I have a free Facebook group as well that you're more than welcome to come and join where I share free tips. I have a few freebies as well. They're all on my website. So pinkfizz.social. And if you go to free, I think it's free downloads or something like that, it's called, just go on there and there is a few on there, but the one that we're speaking about is how to create 50 pieces of content just from one piece of content. So it's a mini free masterclass where I delve into how you can repurpose content in different ways, because that is one thing that I see all the time is people overcomplicating things and they're like they think that they have to create new content all the time, and that's what's making their anxiety. They're feeling overwhelmed. Then they don't show up on social media, create any content because it just becomes overwhelming. And, it doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. It's about repurposing content and how you can do that in lots of different ways. And I share 50 in that freebie. So go and grab it.
Incredible. Thank you so much. And it is such a great freebie. When I saw the title of 50 from one piece, I was like, what? But actually, when you watch it, it is so smart and so simple. So yeah, and it just takes away that pressure. So definitely go and sign up for that freebie. We'll make sure it's in the show notes. We'll put all of your other links in there as well, including the Facebook group. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. This has been such an awesome conversation. And I know there's so much more we could dive into. So we may well have to have you back again at some point very soon.
The series couldn't work.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Heather. That's
My
amazing.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me for another installment of the Unapologetic Mompreneur podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, I would love for you to leave me a rating and a review so that other mompreneurs can find this podcast too. Here's to unapologetically becoming the mum, wife, biz owner, and woman you know you are meant and deserve to be. I can't wait to chat with you in the next episode. Bye for now.